Warren Buffett knows what he's talking about.
Don't you mean Warren Buffett?
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Richuation Room. It's October 4th, 2020. Very excited to have Michael Romero on the podcast today. Mike, how's it going?
It's going good, man. I'm excited to be here, bro.
Yeah, thanks for doing this.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on.
And let's go into just kind of jump into the background of kind of a little bit of backstory about you and the steps you took to eventually get to where you are today. And we'll get into Mike's, story a little bit in terms of his YouTube channel and those kind of things, but maybe just a side of you that people on your YouTube channel haven't heard before.
All right. Well, so I'm Michael Romero. I'm a YouTuber. I'm an investor. I enjoy all things money related. I love learning about money. Not even just that in general, just like the psychology behind it. So I'm 27 years old and didn't grow up rich. We had stuff, but we didn't have everything we wanted. I wouldn't necessarily say I was super poor or whatever, but like not having the things that I wanted, and then growing up, trying to figure out how to get what other people had, like older adults, seeing people that actually had money, because I wasn't taught about it. You know what I mean? So once I got to a certain age, I'd say like 19, I literally Googled how to become a millionaire. That's what I did. And I seen all these different steps and all these different routes to take. And I was like, man, let me just start learning about a bunch of different stuff. And that's literally where I started. And then first book I read was, what was it? The Richest Man of Babylon. And then that like just skyrocketed me into this pool of knowledge, like just constantly learning about different ways people make money, how the rich keep getting richer, why the poor stay poor, and the psychology behind it and all that. And then it wasn't until, I started doing that around 19, 20. And it wasn't until like 4 years ago, I actually started applying all this. Like I said, I'm 27 now, I'll be 28 next month. And I just decided to take off with it, and I decided to start a YouTube channel because to hold myself responsible, reliable for my journey, to document it and show people that they can do exactly what I'm doing. You don't have to be super rich. You don't have to be super smart. Anyone can do it. You could be a regular person. It's just you have to have that psychology, that mentality to be able to do it, man. That's like pretty much what I'm about, is trying to help people understand money, not make it as scary for people. Because I know a lot of people that I talk to personally, a lot of my friends as well, they just don't understand, like, why am I spending so much money? My whole ideology, my idea behind everything is it's more than the surface level stuff. You know what I mean? It's more, it all starts mentally, like with money. That's kind of what I gathered from my years of personal finance studying, should I say.
Yeah, I think the mental side of it is probably the hardest part, right? Especially when people get caught up in spending, it's hard to back off of that and actually think about, wait, I can't spend this money, but it's going to sit in an account and I'm not going to be able to use it potentially for years. So that's kind of a hard concept to conceptualize for people. When you were 19 and you started, that's kind of a funny thing, but honestly, with the internet today, it's just as easy just to Google how to be a millionaire. You might get some crazy results in the meantime, but were you kind of one of these kids growing up where you were constantly working or trying to like sell things on the side, or was it just something where you knew that you were interested in money and you maybe wanted to have a life, better in the future than what you were used to?
Even when I was a little kid, man, when I was like, knee high, I constantly was like trying to sell my toys or trade Pokemon cards or Yu-Gi-Oh cards, like trying to make money from it. So I always had that hustle side to me. But even so, I was doing, cutting grass and stuff. And then like when I was able to get a job at 14 or 15, whenever my first job was, I took it. So I always had a job. I was always making money. So I kind of had that instilled in me, like I said, since I was little.
Right.
And then 18, 19 come around, I'm out of school. So now I'm working. I think at the time I was working 2 jobs and I was hustling on the side, doing side stuff. So I was just trying to get as much stuff as I can. And I think from that, I was like, I can't do this forever. I think I kind of realized that I need to figure out a better way to do it. And then that's when I was like, how are these other people living in these big mansions or these big houses and just living a nice lifestyle,
Yeah, that makes sense. So when was the first step you actually took? Kind of sounds like you gathered knowledge first before you took action, which is probably a smart thing to do. What was the first step of action, if you remember, at least starting to save or invest?
So I would say my first step was learning to save money better. So like I went through stages of like, I would always save up and I would get to like, $1,000 or $2,000 and then somehow I would spend it, or I would do something. I was like, oh, I have this money, let me go do something with it. So I learned how to get out of the habit of that. Just spreading my money around, you know what I mean? Not having everything in one pot. That works for me. If I have everything in one pot, it's like, okay, now I'm not like that. But when I was back then, I'd rather have 2 or 3 different accounts with smaller amounts of money, because back to the psychology thing, it makes me think, okay, I have less money, when really, it's all the same as in that one account.
Right.
So that's I kind of had to trick myself into doing things a certain way, basically.
Yeah, just to kind of retrain, I guess, the way you're going about doing things.
Basically, just retrain, reprogram myself. And then I didn't get into investing, in stocks or anything until about 4 years ago, right? And I started to invest a little bit. I didn't learn, I learned the very basic knowledge of it, but I'm the type of person, I can learn a lot, but if I don't do it, then I feel like I don't know. You know what I mean?
Like you don't retain the knowledge that you previously
read. Yeah. Kind of. Yeah. I know I have to put my hands on it to do it in order to fully understand it. So that's what I did. I just jumped into, I think at the time, my first brokerage account was Stash. And it was like, it's not how it is today. It was real crappy back then. But like I would put money in every week or every 2 weeks and watch it grow. And I was like, well, this kind of sucks. Why am I doing this? So same thing. I would get to a certain amount and I would be like, well, this isn't working for me, and then take the money out. And then months later, I'll be like, oh, I have to retry this again, because this is what I want to do. And then go through that cycle I think I did that like 3 or 4 times. And then I stopped investing for like about a year. And then I was like, I need to stick with it. I need to get back into it because, I just felt every article I read, every book I read was like investing. Yep. And then it was stocks, bonds, ETFs, index funds. I started talking about in the stock market or whatever. So I was like, I got to stick with it. So that's what I did. I ended up just sticking with it and learning a bunch of different ways. I went through day trading, swing trading, all the different things you can do. I lost money, made money. And then I finally figured out what works for me. And I'm still learning. You know what I mean? I'm still learning. I like to show people my what works for me, and hopefully it works for them as well. You know what I mean? And try to help people figure out what works for them.
Absolutely. I think one of the huge misconceptions with investing is that it's only for the super rich. It's only for people that have a formal education in investing. Yeah. It's only for Wall Street. So maybe so that people kind of understand, how did you actually gain the knowledge to start actually, taking the steps to invest? It sounds like you're maybe working different angles of it for a few different years, kind of dipping your toe in the water in and out. But what was the actual source of knowledge you were using to kind of build the foundation that you have now?
So, right. I read your basic books on general investing. Like I said, Richest Man in Babylon, personal finance stuff like that. What really helped me was, the internet, definitely YouTube. I watched tons of videos, hours and hours and hours and hours, reading stuff. And like I said, I can learn all this information, but in order for me to really know, understand it, I have to do it. So I kind of just jumped head first into it and made my mistakes. I did it I didn't have no one there teaching me. You know what I mean? No one in my family was doing it. I didn't really know anybody who was investing at the time, except for maybe older people that I really didn't have anything in common with. And I kind of felt weird asking them about it. they probably had so much more money than me, and I'm over here working with maybe, a couple $100 or a couple $1,000 at the time, just maybe, self-conscious about it. And man, just jumping headfirst into it and figuring out everything on my own. And then once I don't understand something fully, go back to the YouTube, go back to the internet, go back to these books and kind of connect the dots, basically.
Yeah, obviously, the internet's an awesome tool, and we're utilizing it right now. So
Yeah.
you're utilizing it to educate other people. Did you receive any pushback or weird looks or questions from friends or family that weren't into investing when you were kind of so enamored with this?
Not family, but some of my friends at the time. But like they always knew that I was always working. I always was trying to make money or whatever. So it wasn't so much so of like, it's weird, for somebody trying to be so young and trying to invest. But it was like, it's hard to explain. It was almost like oh, you're doing that now. You know what I mean? Kind of like transitioning, not necessarily a pushback, but it was almost like didn't understand what I was trying to do.
Yeah, that makes sense. So now that we've kind of established how you came across actually investing, you want to be interested in it. Now that you've kind of, hit the stash account back and forth a few times and you've kind of gotten your basis set, talk to us a little bit about maybe the next steps you took, and then maybe just kind of parlay that into what are you doing now? What's your strategy going forward? And just kind of a quick summary there.
So my next steps I took after like jumping in and out of the market quite a few times was like it happened again after the stash account, right? So I opened up, I think, a Robinhood account back in like 2017 and tried day trading with it a little bit and made money, decent amount of money, and then lost a decent amount of money. And I was like, okay, well, maybe this isn't for me. And then tried, swing trading, had a good run with swing trading, which I still do today. I still do a little bit of day trading. Definitely, I wouldn't call myself a day trader. If I see a play that I know I could make, then I'll make it. But I'm not like doing it every day. But so doing that, and then once I realized this is 100% what I want to do, I was like, I need to keep my money in the market long term because that seems to be the best option. So that's what I ended up doing. Just whenever I could, put money into one of the accounts I have, which at the time I think all I had was a Robinhood account, and did that. Kept doing it. Kept just picking different stocks and learning. And then one last time, I think it was at the end of 2017 or maybe it was mid 2018. I can't really remember. I ended up taking out, again, took the money out of the market, out of the account. And I was like, okay, but I was going through something at the time. I needed the money. I needed the liquidity. You know what I mean? I didn't have really any money saved up. So I realized then, okay, maybe now I need to have money on the side in case something happens because I really want to keep my money in the market. So what I did was saved up some money, put some money in a savings account or whatever it was, a CD or something, and put my money back in my Robinhood account and started dividend investing and started messing with that slowly and stuck with it. So that's what I'm doing now. Ended up getting a very good job with a 401k and ESPP plan, all the works or whatever. So I'm investing in that as well. Every week I get paid. I do that. I split my money up into my separate accounts for my investing because I have different brokerage accounts as well. So my Robinhood account I use strictly for dividend investing. I have an M1 Finance account I use for growth style stocks, growth and value. And I have a Webull account I use for swing trading and, very speculative stuff.
Right.
And then I have Acorns as well. But one of the reasons also that I have so many different accounts is to show people that you can use different strategies. You can use different amounts of money. Like for instance, for my Robinhood account, I put, anywhere from $100 to $300 a week in it, depending on how much money I have left over from my bills and whatever else. And then for my M1 Finance account, I only put $5 a day, which would be $35 a week. So kind of showing you, you can start with, if you can do $5 a day, you can make good returns. And on that account, right now I'm up over like 110%, and I started it last year around November.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why I have so many accounts, like I said. And then the Acorns account, I'm investing $1 a day. So it's $7 a week, just trying to show people you don't need a whole bunch of money to make money from it. Sure, you're not going to get rich overnight, but you need to start. You need to get that, mentality going. That's kind of what I'm doing today.
And I think, especially when you break it down to $1, I think the vast majority of people out there can afford to put $1 in a day. And like you said, they're not going to be able to replace their job with that kind of money, but even just to show the returns, and then you balance that off. Okay, what if this was $10 a day? What if this was $300 a week, kind of like you were talking about? I think one of the things going on now, obviously the market's shifting like crazy, a lot of weird volatility going on, crazy times, but where have you found value right now in terms of putting your money? Where have you found yourself investing the most in terms of those different aspects?
So as of right now, like I've been averaging down a lot of my positions. Obviously whenever the crash happened in April, March, I dumped a lot of money into it and back into my accounts, because I had a bunch of money saved up on the side. So I kind of like tried to average down as much as I could, and also tried to get some new positions in. So I definitely got a couple more shares of, this is more current, Apple and Tesla after they, did their split or whatever. Luckily, I got into Tesla last year, right before they ran up, right before they had that run up. So I got in at like $300. You know what I mean? So I was very lucky to get in at that time. Yeah, pre-split. This was last year before they hit all the crazy numbers they did. So I think right now, like on one of my accounts, because I have it in two separate accounts, and that's another thing I say is like, people will ask why you have different accounts. Obviously, one is for, one of the reasons is to show people that you don't need so much money to do it. And another reason is to show people you can use different strategies.
Right.
And I have some companies in each account that are the same. You know what I mean? Like I have Tesla in two different accounts. I have Apple in the same two different accounts, or whatever. But that's because there's so much value in those companies that like I feel like I needed to have it in these portfolios.
Right.
You know what I mean? But really, I've been finding a lot of value in more well-established companies, in my opinion. Like I'll see a lot of people ragging on these big companies that are like, let's say, cutting their dividends because of things that are happening. Like let's say Disney, right? Disney cut their dividend. I know a lot of people got out of it. They dropped so low, but let's be honest. Is Disney going to go anywhere? It's not. They bought the rights to all these different movies, all these different companies. They own Star Wars. They own all these other, they have so much going for them. They're not going to go anywhere just with the parks closed.
They own like sports broadcasting, Pixar,
right. Yeah, they own
more than just the amusement parks. I think people forget that.
Yeah, I think so too. And then like just stuff like that, man. It's like real simple things that I feel like people panic on, that it's you have to think like it's not going to go anywhere. Like when AT&T dropped below $30, it was almost to 40, it dropped to 30. They're freaking out. Obviously, that's not going to be a major growth player for the future. It's not going to be, you're not going to see crazy gains from it, but that's a good place to put your money for value and for dividends. If you look into the company, it's the way they're set up. I like looking at companies if they're set up properly, like to protect itself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I want to go for, especially at a time like this. That's kind of where I shifted my portfolio from like trying to be super aggressive to like, okay, let's see if I can stop losing so much money in this downtrend. But again, I'm not worried about losing the money because I know I'm only going to lose that money if I sell.
Right.
You know, it's just a loss on paper right now.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of agree there. So we've seen the growth stocks, especially the tech stocks. Everything got beaten down initially. Some held up a little bit better than others. And then these guys have just come firing back and way above all-time highs. But you still see a lot of the, the standard value stocks, the Warren Buffett stocks of the world, that are still trading at a discount in comparison to what they were. It's kind of been funny to see a little bit of this market sentiment, and maybe it's just more so involved with the YouTube and the Twitter personalities that are involved, but it's kind of like people are turning their eyes away from the standard Apple, Tesla, Microsoft, and looking at, the guys that are still down, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, different plays like that. So I think there's always plays there, but that's just kind of been an interesting thing to watch recently.
Yeah, I also think one of the reasons why that's happening, tech is kind of on a huge run right now, obviously, is because tech is so much more exciting. And you have so many more retail investors, new people getting in, trying to make some money. Now that this crash happened, they're like running up all the stuff that they know that's popular now. And they're not really messing with the, like we said, AT&T, Coke, Pepsi, those big blue chip stocks, those value stocks. Yep. They're not, there's no flair to it. I think that has a big thing to do with it as well. When people like us, we kind of we see the value in them. We know what they're worth. We know what they can provide us. And then you have the Tesla that's going to hit 2,000 when we know it's not worth that much money. You know what I mean? But people are still going to buy it because it's Tesla, it's Elon Musk. Yeah,
man, that's a whole nother conversation because so much of the tech stuff is people projecting what they think these companies are going to be able to do. But I think you make a really good point about the flair that these tech stocks have. I mean, if you just break it down between, let's say, like Apple and Coca-Cola, when Apple has a presentation day, it's this huge presentation. Tim Cook's in front of everybody. It's like beautiful display videos showing what the new iWatch, the new iPhone, the new Mac's going to do. Like, what is Coca-Cola really going to say? I mean, they have like a Topo Chico hard seltzer coming out next spring, but that doesn't that doesn't really get people all riled up to go buy the stock. It's like, okay, they're making another drink. It's not anything that's going to truly change the world. So I think that's kind of the difference there.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. It's different. It's two different worlds, really, right? I guess that's why they split them up into the two different sectors, your consumer cyclical and your tech. You know what I mean? They definitely have their good points and their bad points, but you're not going to see a major presentation from from Pepsi or from Coke like you would from Tesla or from Apple. Definitely not going to get major media coverage from it like that anyway.
No, it's kind of like if you were to look at like life cycle funds, right, or retirement funds, how much time you have to retire. The tech stocks obviously have I keep saying tech, but really should just be growth stocks. They have a much higher ceiling, but the volatility is going to be all over the place, where a lot of the value stocks probably have a lower ceiling if you're talking about the same time period, but you can expect a lot more of kind of even keel as they kind of go through over time, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and then I feel like a lot of people have to catch their stride when it comes to investing. We see a lot of new people now, and they're still learning. They don't understand, or they may understand, but they may not be able to handle the slow growth, or they may not be able to handle the major volatility. You know what I mean? They might put some money in, lose some money, and never mess with the stock market again and say it's a scam.
Yeah. I think so much of it is the first experience that you have, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I just think it's important. Start that Roth IRA, that 401k, have it as an automatic contribution where you can't even see it. Hopefully you forget the password for like 2 years and then you can log back in later and kind of see what it's done for you.
Definitely, man. Definitely. And like, that's something I try to preach too. I don't want to say preach, but like I've made a bunch of mistakes. Like I said, the way I learn, I just go head first in there, and whatever happens, happens. You know, obviously I'm not going to do that with a bunch of money. You know what I mean? I'm going to try my hand first and see and make sure that I have all my ducks in a row and all my dots connected. But like that initial start is so important. It doesn't matter how old you are. Like you just got to start. You got to get them gears going in order to really make that change in your life. And it's like, it's not just investing, it's personal finance and all. Like, I don't like to call my channel an investing channel. I like to call it more of a personal finance channel, because I believe personal finance goes with investing, but like investing isn't just personal finance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just, it's that back to that psychology thing. You have to really get it going. You have to change your mindset. It's a major thing. You know, why people spend their money so frivolously and so carefree is because they get that dopamine fix. You know what I mean? They get that happiness from it, which is good. You should treat yourself, but you shouldn't only rely on spending money to be your center of happiness. You know what I mean? I feel like that's what a lot of people rely on, is making money to spend it to make them happy, when really it's like kind of backwards. You know, that shouldn't be it.
And that happiness of buying the new belt, whatever, it's going to be fleeting, right? That's going to last for like a day, and then after you wear it once, you know, you're going to need to do it again. So it's changing the mindset to prefer to see your bank account and your net worth going up versus, you know, the newest things. But yeah, I agree. There's a balance. Definitely. It's good to buy things every once in a while, but as long as it's under control.
Right. Definitely. Like I have I have a system in place. Like I have goals set up, and once I reach those goals financially, like let's say if I want to hit a certain number in one of my savings accounts or one of my brokerage accounts by a certain time, if I reach that, then I'll go make a purchase that like I've been wanting to get, like maybe a new tattoo or like the new PS5 coming out, whatever it may be. If I don't, then I have to wait another quarter or 6 months in order to do that. So that's kind of how I found discipline in myself and like really focus on my goals and what I need to do. Because like, if I really want that new PS5 or that new Xbox or whatever thing, then I'm going to make sure that I have my financials right in order to get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I found success in it that way.
Yeah, that way you're not just completely handcuffing yourself to never get anything. So being real cynical all the time. Yeah. So let's say you had to take all the money you own and you had to throw it into one position. All right. And it can't be like an ETF or a mutual fund. It has to be one stock. What are you going to do?
Oh, man.
You can't take it out for 5 years. Let's say that.
For 5 years?
Puts you on the spot.
Let's see. That's a good one. I would have to say, I'm trying to think of everything, all of my positions that I own right now. So, that's a good one. It would have to be safe. We'll go like Apple or Tesla. I think Tesla would be more risky than Apple, though. You know, Apple's balance sheet is amazing. They do amazing stuff. We could definitely see some more growth from it. I don't think they'll be downtrending in 5 years. But the only thing that I would be worried about is if they'll continue, like well, 5 years is relatively short. I don't think they'll see any shortcomings in that time. But the growth in you know, I don't think they'll grow a crazy amount in that 5 years. But crazier stuff has happened in the market over this past year. You know what I mean? So we don't know. I'll definitely have to say Apple. Throw it in there and let's see what happens.
We'll timestamp this. We're coming back in 5 years.
Let's see if I made a good decision or not. I don't know. That's putting me on the spot. Yeah, the only thing I could think of was Apple or Tesla, and I'm like, well, let's go with Tesla. Apple.
I think Tesla. I think you could be a very rich man in 5 years if that's what you do with Tesla, but you might have some heart attacks along the way. So I think Apple's probably the smarter call there. Cool. What's and I don't need specific numbers or anything like that, but what long-term finance goals, right? what are you thinking?
Yeah.
Like, are you a fire guy where you're trying to retire early? Are you trying to get to a point where you're just living off, 4% or dividends? Kind of give us the broad scope of your goals in the not too far along, but the near future.
Yeah. So when I first started the journey, what I like to call financial enlightenment journey, right? I call it financial enlightenment because it's like that moment of realization that you can do this, or that moment that you understand something. It's like enlightenment. It's like a weight off your shoulders. So that's why I call it like financial enlightenment journey. It started with, I need to learn how to get rich. Now it's like, I need to learn how to sustain my money and grow, make it grow, right? I'm more realistic now. I know, like you said, if I dump all my money into Tesla in 5 years, I could potentially be super rich, man. Or maybe not super rich, but very well off, right? But now I'm definitely looking for more of a fire aspect, financial independence. I want to be able to, if I don't want to work for 6 months or a year, then I'm not going to do it. I'll have the funds to be able to stop or whatever.
Right.
How I'm going to do that, 4% rule, maybe I may do it like that. I'm still trying to figure that out as I go. But I definitely want to be able to like retire from my job in a few years and be able to do my own thing. So like my goal right now is 30. So if I can be able to put everything I'm doing on the side full force and get out of my job by 30, that would be great. Like that would be ideal.
Yeah.
But realistically, we're looking more at 5 years. So like let's say if next year, if I would be able to like go full time on YouTube and like make all the money from that and be able to pay all my bills and live off of that, I'd probably still work my job and like max out my 401k,
right,
and like max out my ESPP for the next 3 to 5 years. That way, it's just a smart thing. To me, it makes sense. You know what I mean? Do that work and make as much more money now as I can, and then say, hey, either give me a position where I don't have to work so much, or I'm just gonna leave, and then eventually just leave. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't want to be in a spot where you're because I know you're making money on YouTube now, which is awesome, and hopefully we'll talk about that in a second. But you don't want to be in a spot where the money you're making, which is probably volatile in itself in terms of how much, is like barely going to be enough to live, right? So it's probably better just to live out a few more or work a few more years to build a little bit more of a moat for yourself.
Definitely. And I try to prepare like a lot. Like I separate my money into different accounts. I have my stuff set up like pretty decent, as in like matter of preparedness. Like I have my emergency account, emergency fund, and then I have like emergency fund. You know what I mean? I like to be super prepared for stuff because I've been through a lot of oh no moments. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to like keep it going in that, you know what I mean? And try to plan out and like, okay, if this happens, how can I stop it or minimize a bigger loss, or like minimize so much more negativity on myself, my mental capacity or whatever the case may be, like my mentality, because I feel like that has a lot to do with it too. I might wake up tomorrow morning and be like, oh no, I hate my job today. Right. And then that would, set a domino effect for the week. I kind of like to have that positive mindset, that positive goal, that positive thinking. Like I said, I'm very oriented when it comes to your mentality in everything that you're doing.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's going to set the tone pretty much for everything, whether it's money related or not.
Right.
We talked a little bit about financial literacy earlier, and I know you put out a video a while ago, it looked like, but I was just kind of, going through all your stuff and trying to get a feel for kind of your aspect and your angle on things. And they're just talking about, how there's really no financial talk taught in schools, at least up through the high school level, unless you really seek it out in college. And even then it's kind of questionable on how much you're really receiving. What do you think if you could change something, let's say K through 12, in terms of learning about money and learning about personal finance, what would you do? What would you change to make it different and better for people?
So definitely I would make it at least more talked about in school, less of a taboo and more of a realistic, talked about aspect. Like, there's a lot of negative stipulations about talking about money, like how much do you make or how much do you have or whatever. Like, make that less of a taboo and more of a, how can I do that?
Right.
Teach me how to do that. If you start at a young age, it doesn't have to be kindergarten, it doesn't have to be first or second grade, but as long as they understand what's going on as far as like money wise, like, yes, you need money to survive. It shouldn't be your 100% main focus, but you should understand the basics of it. Like, just the very basics. Like, I know a lot of people, for instance, one of my friends not too long ago didn't know that you can have multiple bank accounts at a bank. He thought you could have one savings and one checking.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I have like 4 checking accounts. Well, not 4, but like 4 savings accounts and like 3 checking accounts for different stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, I didn't know. I thought you had to go to a different bank. Just simple things that can change the game for somebody. Just stuff like that. You know what I mean? Just, hey, give them a little pamphlet once a year with better information as you go. You know what I mean? Something like that. And if they want to dive into it more, then have a whole curriculum for it. Have what is it?
Like
an extra class. Yeah, an elective.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool. I think, we always hear money is the root of all evil, right? But it's probably somebody who's poor who's saying that. So it's like,
right.
Money can be evil depending on how you use it, but I think the biggest thing is that it gives you time, right? That's the thing that it replaces, is you're not going to have to be working a job as long as you can actually do the things that you want in life. So I think that's a good point.
Definitely, man. Definitely.
For your YouTube channel, so what was the motivation behind that? Mainly just keeping yourself honest, like you talked about earlier?
So, kinda. Well, that was like one of the main goals. And then like, I see so many people making so much money from it. I'm like, I wonder if I could do that. You know what I mean? So it was to make money. That wasn't my main goal. Obviously, that's awesome. That's what everyone wants to do, is make money from YouTube.
Yeah.
But a big focus was to, cause I just like teaching people what I know as well. So it was to definitely help me teach people and to keep myself accountable, like to make sure I do the right thing, and also to push myself, my education further, because where I was at, I was kind of like capped off. I was kind of blocking my potential as far as like learning different stuff when it comes to personal finance and investing. And like, doing a YouTube channel, I can't just talk about the same thing every video. You know what I mean? If someone has questions, I have to be able to answer it. And I try to be as transparent, as honest as possible. Like, if I don't know something, I'm going to tell you I don't know. I'm going to tell you what I do know about it, but that's it. And then maybe we'll talk about it later once I learn more. So just to help myself grow financially, keep myself accountable, and to teach people. You know what I mean? That was like the 3 main goals.
What have been some of the unexpected hardships of YouTube? What are things that when you started you thought weren't going to be so difficult?
Being comfortable on camera was a big one for me. Like, now I'm very comfortable on camera now, but like keeping eye contact with people, speaking properly, because a lot I would talk and then I would stop and have to think. And then I would be like, oh no, I'm thinking too long. Now I have to, you know what I mean? I'm wasting time or whatever. Yeah. So something like that. And then learning, it was a huge learning curve for me, because I was never didn't know much about cameras, didn't know much about metadata, didn't know much about SEO or filming or photography or anything like that. So I pretty much did everything myself. Now I outsource my thumbnails and that's it. Hopefully I'll be able to outsource more in the future. That way I can give myself more time to focus on the content and the educational aspect. But right now I'm just doing everything, and I'm releasing a video every 3 days. So it's a rush. but still making sure that I have the best content that I can put out.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's a balance for sure. What about some unexpected things that were, coming out of this that you didn't think would be so either helpful or positive or things along those lines?
Helping people, like getting nice comments from people. Like I'll get DMs every once in a while talking about like, yo, you may not know it, but you're helping a lot more people than what you know. Just like your inspiration, stuff like that. Like that makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm doing a good job and I'm actually like trying to show people, trying to help people and being sincere as possible. Like that's probably one of the biggest and humbling experiences, is like actually being able to see results like that from people that you're helping is like, it's awesome, dude. You know what I mean? It's why I came here to begin with. It's one of the reasons why I came here. And like to be able to see results like that is like, it's crazy. I can just keep doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it brings it outside of just, because obviously when you're making videos, it's very, even though you're helping people, it's a lot of focusing on yourself because you're worried about what you're saying, you're worried about the content that you're putting out, but then you actually get some feedback, and it shows that the time and effort you put in is, even if it just helped that one person, it's probably worth it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I also get like I say a lot, but every now and then like some negative stuff, negative comments. But like I'm gonna like, I'm not gonna argue with nobody, but I'll let you know what's up. You know what I mean? In the comments. Like I'm not I look different, right? I got dreadlocks and tattoos and all kinds of stuff. I'm obviously not your average finance YouTuber, right? But it is what it is. It's like I'm here to help people. If you're not with that, then what are you doing, on here?
Yeah, you can click
if you don't like what I got to say, yeah, you don't have to. That's why they got hundreds of other people out here, thousands of other people out here doing the same stuff.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the reasons people like you and like watching is like, just being honest, you don't look like the standard finance stock market guy, right? We talked about it earlier,
right?
Like wearing a suit, college, like went to school to get, or Ivy League school to get a degree in finance or something. I don't know your financial background, but a guy with dreads and tattoos probably doesn't kind of give off that picturesque of what they think the stock market's about.
Right.
Have you heard anything like that? Like, hey, this is why I like following you, because it just shows that kind of anybody can do it.
Yeah, actually, I get that a lot. That's one of the main things I get, more so than anything else. Is like, yo, it's good to see somebody that's not in a suit and tie talking about this. You know what I mean? And being like so upfront about it. Like I try to be myself 100%. So like the same way I have a conversation with you right now is the same way I'm going to talk to the camera, talk to the audience, talk to you, not talk at you or down to you. Right. I feel like some people get mixed up in the like teaching so much that some people don't get like the just trying to be as authentic and real as possible. But I get that a lot. Like, yo, it's good to see somebody that looks different or that looks like me or that's not just like trying so hard, I am trying hard, but I'm not trying hard to be myself and present as authentically as possible with the right information.
Yeah, you're not trying to put on a facade. You're not trying to be someone you're not. And that, I think from the videos I've seen, man, that comes across loud and clear. So I think that's probably why people have enjoyed your videos and why you've seen the success that you have on YouTube. Have you noticed anything that's you've done in terms of making videos? I'm sure it's helped with, you talked about kind of public speaking. Have you seen that transfer at all to the real world, whether that's your job or even just relationships, anything there?
So this kind of like the same time I started YouTube, I started like I don't know if it was because of YouTube, but I started like trying to do more inner work. You know what I mean? Like grow as a person type stuff. So it kind of went hand in hand. You know what I mean? So now it's like it's helping me grow as a person a lot. It's helping me do that more. But like I'll explain stuff more thoroughly in person now. Like I'm trying to explain it to the camera. You know what I mean? And I get that. He's like, man, you explain it. Why are you explaining so much? I'm like, I don't know, dude. I'm so used to doing YouTube and trying to get my point across, or like trying to make sure that you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So definitely that. Like I'll you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's funny.
Kind of prolong it. Yeah.
And that was kind of the next thing I want to talk about. I like talking to the guests about personal development and what they're doing outside of finance, because it's so easy to get caught up in the numbers. And when you're talking about stocks and the market all the time on your channel, I think it's good to take a step back and figure out, okay, what, money's just a very small part of this. So if you don't mind sharing what you do to kind of advance yourself on more of kind of that personal development level, that'd be great to hear.
Yeah. So I'm like, I've always had, growing up and stuff, I've had like a hard time of expressing myself. And like this in itself helps me, is like a form of expression. You know what I mean? Making videos and helping people helps me a lot. I do some journaling as well. I got a life coach, not a life coach, but it was a personal development coach a couple months ago. As a matter of fact, at the beginning of the year. And he kind of helped me realize some goals I needed or whatever, and helped me with a few things as far as like what I would need to work on, and help me try the different stuff like eating properly, exercise, meditation, and journaling was like his main things. There's a lot more other stuff that goes with it, but those are like some of the main things that I focus on. I also paint. Like this is one of my paintings up here. I have paintings all on this side of my wall. I like to paint from time to time, stuff like that. Just, I like to be outside, nature, read, just kind of almost like the natural stuff. You know what I mean? Exercise, just breaking away from everything and being with yourself kind of is what I'm going at.
Yeah. And ironically, it's funny that, and it's the same for everybody with phones, computers, internet, video games. It's like, to break away and just do the normal things, that humans need to do.
Yeah.
It's like that almost takes effort now, which is kind of a funny way that the society has kind of gone to so far, I think.
Definitely, man. Definitely. And it's like, it's weird because like you said, it's so much effort to stop and go read a book, or like stop and go sit outside or go do some gardening or something. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about it like that, but it is what it is. Like at one point I was so focused on doing this, like I wasn't even doing that. I believe in sacrifice. In order to get something, you have to give something up. If it's not worth giving something up, then it's not worth getting. So like I sacrificed time, unfortunately, friends, when I started focusing on work, some friends wasn't coming around, stuff like that, relationships. It sounds bad, but it's not. You know what I mean? Obviously, if those people don't want to join me on my journey, then okay, it is what it is, right?
Yeah, it's probably
but like sacrificing.
We're really going to be adding much value to begin with.
Correct. Like sacrificing time, happiness for a short amount of time. You know what I mean? Going have fun with your friends, doing this and that. Like doing that is what I focus on for a long time. And now I'm trying to get out of that and break back into this, like breaking away from everything and go do like the nature stuff for a while, or read a book and journal, exercise, whatever, be in the moment type stuff.
I think that's awesome. What about if you had to recommend either a book or a podcast you like, or even just an activity for somebody trying to take a step? Let's go with book or podcast that you would recommend.
So like if you're talking about,
it could be anything.
Like my favorite podcast of all time, like to this day, is The Last Podcast on the Left. I don't know if you know what that is.
Yeah,
you know what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a true crime podcast. It's a comedy podcast, but that anytime they come out with a new episode, it just brings me so much joy because those dudes are so funny and they talk about stuff that I like. You know what I mean? So it's like awesome. Yeah, it's kind of like my breaking away too. I get to listen to them talk about funny stuff and make bad situations into good ones with their comedy. So definitely, if you like true crime or like anything conspiracy, check out Last Podcast on the Left.
Cool. Cool. Let's wrap this up. Maybe any last second things you had, any advice you have for anybody, or closing thoughts, and then go ahead and shout out obviously your handle, and I'll post links to your channel wherever this is posted.
Okay. So just take the step and like, if I can give any piece of advice, is just like take the step of just going. Just take that first step, basically, into whatever it is, whatever you're trying to do. If it's financially, if it's writing, if it's exercise, take the first step and just keep stepping afterwards. Don't stop after that first step.
Right.
You know what I mean? Definitely. But I have a question for you,
Let's hear it.
Richard. So I was supposed to ask at the beginning, but I just remembered. So your name is Richard, and the podcast is the Richuation Room, right?
Right.
So is that purposely a double entendre, or did it just kind of fall out that way?
Honestly, it's kind of both. So I was trying to think of a cool name for the podcast, and you kind of, like you just did, and I do it all the time. Unfortunately, it doesn't roll off the tongue very well. So it's like the Richuation Room, right? You got to kind of enunciate it. And then it's double entendre, right? Because it's my name, and then money. So
and then rich,
exactly. So I think it works. It might take a little while for people to actually be able to pronounce it, but once we get past that, I think it's smooth sailing.
So we'll go ahead and say it was purposely done.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. Also, you know, I know you had Curtis on the show a while back, last episode or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I'm affiliated with Investing with Homies. So if anybody out there wants to learn from me personally, like outside of YouTube, we have a Discord called Investing with Homies. It's absolutely free. We're just here to help people. You know what I mean? I'm a mentor there. Shout out Curtis. Shout out Sam Blade. All them guys over there. They're amazing people, and they really know what they're talking about. If you want to find me on YouTube, it's Michael Romero. If you want to find me on Instagram, it's Financial Enlightenment Michael. I pretty much post there daily or whatever. And I'm a cool dude. If you want to reach out and talk to me about whatever, just we'll have a conversation about it.
Yeah, so go ahead and hit him up. And like I said, that'll all be down in the description below, so people can check that out. If you're listening to this on audio only, then just either hit the YouTube channel and find it there, or just go to the handles that Mike just shouted out. All right, Mike,
sir.
That's all I got, man. Any closing thoughts?
Nah, hopefully in 5 years that Apple position will be way up there. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna set my calendar reminder on my Apple product still around, and hopefully, your hypothetical money will be doing well.
Yeah, a matter of fact, I might have to do once every 6 months a video on my hypothetical position on YouTube to see if I made a good decision or not offhand.
That's not a bad idea. You got the timestamp here, so we got evidence.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right,
I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see this final product.
Yeah, it should be good. Yeah, have a good night.
You too, man.
All right, see you.
Thank you for having me on.